These women didn't change the church by demanding power. They changed the church by becoming saints through prayer, through sacrifice, through service, through spiritual motherhood, through saying yes to the vocation God had prepared for them. Which raises one final question. If this is the beauty of Catholic womanhood, why are so few women choosing it today? Let's finish our investigation.
As modern culture, again, teaches women that fulfillment comes through power, comes through position, comes through breaking barriers. And of course, I don't want to minimize that part of the conversation because, yes, we did need to break barriers of women in society to be able to have the opportunities that many of us have today. Yes, there had to be civil laws change and things that allowed women to have a greater voice and to be able to participate in more active ways in civil society. And I would be remiss as a woman to sit here and say that I have not benefited from many of those things. But at the same time, I don't think that the only way that a woman can find fulfillment is if she is in roles that are specifically leadership power and kind of always trying to break some barrier. The Catholic Church doesn't teach that. The Catholic Church teaches that fulfillment comes from being a self-gift, that fulfillment comes from holiness, that fulfillment comes from becoming who God wants you to be, whatever station in life that is. And sometimes it's not going to be a position of power or even visibility. And that's just the truth. Those are two different kinds of womanhood, really. And to be honest with you guys, let's not sugarcoat it. At the same time that we have people that are demanding that women are afforded the opportunity to be ordained as priests or become deacons, there is an active vocational crisis when it comes to religious life. And I want to read the stats so we can really grasp how crucial this is right now and where the conversation actually needs to be right here. So at its peak in 1965, there were about 180,000 women religious. Okay, and this is in the United States alone. Okay, so I don't have the statistics in Europe or other parts of the world. Of course, this would make the numbers even higher if we look to some of these places, but just speaking about the West and in particular in the United States. So in 1965, we peaked with about 180,000 women religious. By today, guys, today, we're sitting at about 36,000 to 40,000 women. That is roughly an 80% decline in vocations. The median age of sisters is around 74 years old. This is in 2026. I did the research and I looked up the numbers. I can put the citations for the documents and the studies and stuff like that that I use in my research. And you can see these numbers for yourself and see the gravity of what's going on. Hundreds of convents and mother houses have closed or they've merged or completed their mission over the past several decades. A real vocational crisis absolutely 100% does exist, but it's not the whole story. We are in a crisis in the West. I really find it interesting how we constantly pray for vocation for priests, which we need. We absolutely need our priests. But I don't hear enough of asking for more vocations for religious life or even consecrated life for the laity, becoming a consecrated virgin and dedicating your whole self to the church. These are dying. The communities are aging. So every single Catholic should be concerned with this. But I don't want to end on a sad note because even though this crisis is happening, there is indeed something else that is happening. Not every community is declining, actually. There are some communities that are overflowing, that are thriving. And it's interesting to see where these tremendous growths are happening. A couple of the orders that we're seeing this growth is happening in the Sisters of Life. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful group of sisters. Dominican Sisters of Cecilia. I think they're also called like the Nashville Dominicans. The Carmelite nuns. They have a beautiful monastery out here in California, in Southern California, out in Alhambra. Wonderful, wonderful community. Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. And other faithful communities, Daughters of St. Paul, is another one that's thriving pretty well. But what's interesting about all the ones that I mentioned, that they are visible. These are the ones that are wearing the habits. These are the ones who truly live in visible community. And I think that's a conversation we can have in the comments if you've gotten this far. Like, what are your thoughts on that? I find that when I look at the research of some of the convents and some of the religious orders that are coming into completion, these were some of the ones that have the aging populations, and they're not getting new inquiries or postulates, stuff like that coming in, novices and stuff. These tend to be the orders that did away with the habits, that became more progressive in their ideology, that became less traditional over time. And I think that there is an interesting correlation between the amount of young people and families that we're seeing in the more orthodox parishes, whether they're Novus Ordo parishes, whether they are traditional Latin Mass parishes, and this incredible correlation between that and the religious orders that are thriving, that are more visible in the world with their habits and more, that live in true community, that we can identify as women set apart and set aside. And what's also interesting, if you want to talk about vocations of priesthood, there was a survey that came out sometime last year. I think I saw it in the middle of the year. I have to find it. But they are finding that more of the young ordinations that are coming in among the clergy, that the young priests have a more traditional, more certainly very orthodox view of the faith. I know many of the young priests that I have come to know in my own parishes and throughout the Archdiocese of Valais. I work around to meet a lot of people. I am very much inspired by as many of the young priests that I see that actually wear full cassocks now. Not that that's a measure of any more holiness than any other priest, but I just find it interesting that these very traditional, visible signs of the Catholic Church and what the Church teaches and the orthodoxy of the faith is something that inspires more vocations. Is there a correlation? That's something that we can talk about in the comments, right? But moreover, I want to kind of tie in with this. I want to finish up with this thought. Women are honored in the Catholic Church, as we can see. Women are highly respected in the visible church as well. The highest honor of reverence in the form of hyperdulia, in the form of just complete awe and reverence is given to a woman, the Blessed Mother, the Theotokos, the Mother of God. Would a church that sees no value in women, on the whole, exalt and honor a woman? Wouldn't that be contradictory? Would a church that sees no value in women, that want to keep them inferior and keep them down, would they have four juggernauts who are so important in their writings and their teachings that they actually influence and educate popes, bishops, priests, laity, and more? Is that inferiority? And with the vocational crisis that we have going on right now, my thing is this. It would make more sense for people who think that women who should be ordained, it would make more sense for them to put that energy into really encouraging young vocations, encouraging the young women that they know to at least go on the path of discernment. And any of you who are out there, a lot of religious orders, they look at, I think the age of cutoff for a lot of them may be about 35. Some of them might be a little older. You have to find the orders that are. I know there's a wonderful religious sister who has a channel, Sister Miriam. If you guys have seen her, I think her story is that she is actually a late vocation. So it's possible for women to have late vocations if you are past the age of 35 or so, and you feel like you have this call to lay your life down in this profound way, But if you are of the age where you can make this decision, I would say it doesn't hurt to discern. You've seen young men going into seminaries to discern this a lot, all the time. It's like the running joke among like young Catholic women. It's like you like a guy, and then the guy, he's Catholic, and then he goes off to the seminary. It's like, okay, God, you're always taking the guy that I like to the seminary, okay? Could you leave some for me? You know what I mean? Like it's the running joke between Catholic women. Anyone and guys, you probably know it too, right? And it happens to men too. Some of you, I heard, the young guys, it's like I was dating a girl and she went into the convent. Sorry. But it doesn't hurt to discern, because it's not like it's a full-on commitment and a yes. You have to go through the stages. And if you discern out, then that's great. But to not even take the moment to ask or to say, Lord, is this what you want for me? And for those of you who might be thinking about maybe that religious life isn't for you, maybe you're someone who can see herself living a life of consecrated virginity and live a life of obedience and chastity by vow. Why not consider that? Our church needs our women, and women, you are important to the church.
Want the full context? Watch the complete live stream replay next, and don't forget to subscribe.